The bottom line is you get to the crowd. You got to get to the crowd. The crowd ain't coming to you just because you built a company.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Test, Optimize, and Scale. I have one of the top Reg CF issuers on the line here today, Esmond Goei, founder and CEO of Power Hero, going to be talking about electric vehicles, EV structures, charging, all of the obstacles, and the solution that Power Hero has created. Esmond, thank you so much for taking the time to join the podcast here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And I know about your background and all of the achievements, all of the milestones along the way. Want to familiarize the audience a little bit? Thought we could start with your story and how you got into the world of EV charging.
Oh, geez. I hate talking about myself, but I love talking about the company. So I'll be short on
Sure.
the self and maybe spend more time on the company. I believe that everything that we do is not coincidental. There's a big plan for each of us. And as I reflect back on my life and how it evolved, it almost seems as if Power Hero was planned as to how all the things came together. You know, for example, and I'm not going to go all the way back to the time I had my first sale when I was 12 years old or 10 years old. But I got to Power Hero. If you think a little bit of the things we do, which is batteries, right? Charging. Well, I never thought about going into the EV charging business, but as it turns out, my last company, which I sold, was in solar batteries, that were charged using solar energy. And we were just about to crack into the FEMA marketplace for disaster support and all that. But I never thought from there that I would get into EV charging. But that experience really helped me understand about the issues about batteries and access to charging and so forth. And about a year before I started Power Hero, I was just basically having coffee with my son, who was visiting me from California. At that time, I was living in Colorado, and typically that's about the time that your phone runs out. When I just want to show him something, and my phone is running out of battery, right? So you're looking for a place to charge, and of course, in any cafes, all those sockets are taken up, right? These
Right.
What we call the power squatters. They buy a cup of coffee and they're there for 4 hours. And so we're talking about, geez, wouldn't it be nice if we could reserve these sockets, so when we come, it's all ours, right? And that just got incubated, for about a year until the following year when I was looking to get an EV. And I live in an apartment building, and being an engineer that I am, I look at all the issues that's going to behind it, making a decision, right? And the big issue I've learned, and if you're thinking of buying EV, this is something that you must always investigate. How do you charge your EV? If you live in an apartment building, you typically, the buildings, 70% of the buildings in America are more than 20 years old. All right, that was before the advent of EV. So nobody was thinking about charging, let alone putting, sockets in the garage. So at best, you might find, at best, maybe 6 sockets in the whole garage, right? And they're all 110 volt, and that's in the terminology EV. 110 volt is slow charging, right? And fast charging is when you start with 240 volt, which is the kind of voltage that you get from your washer and dryer kind of thing. So when I came to looking into the situation of EV charging, it's really a pain. If you don't have a driveway, park your car and charge your car at home.
Yeah.
And as I got to understand the industry, and I've done emerging growth businesses before. And the thing about emerging growth is that there is no guidelines. there's nothing to see that will tell you, here are the things you have to do. This is what the marketplace is all about. It's a whole new marketplace. you create it or you adapt to it. And I've learned over the years in starting up companies that you want to be flexible because the market will evolve. And so I focus the company on building the foundation that will support many applications and divergence in the marketplace. And that's why now to date we have 11 patents. And for a startup, I still consider myself a startup, even though we started up 6 years ago. But
Mm-hmm.
if you think about EV charging, it really didn't become a topic until the last 2-3 years, right?
Sure.
So if I like to think that I'm a pioneer in some sort because I was thinking about this back in 2016, and I was trying to figure out where's this going to go, and so I focus on building from experience, focus on building a foundation that will support changes in the weather, changes in the composition of the industry, and as those of that have studied the EV charging industry, you see that the leaders are now suffering. No, they're being battered. Their stocks are being battered because they've not been able to show a profit because that
Right.
model doesn't work. And we avoided that dilemma because we didn't follow the crowd. And that's another thing about starting up business. In a new emerging industry, a lot of people just jump into it and say, "Hey." So the industry has followed a land grabbing strategy, which is let's just get as much public space and put our chargers out there. And then they find, hey, nobody wants to charge out in public. they all want to charge at home. Just
Yeah.
like, before you go to work, when you go to bed at night, you plug in your phone and so that in the morning it's fully charged. That's how
Mhm.
you want to start the day. Nobody wants to start the day with your EV empty. and then go to a charging station and wait half an hour to get a spot or whatever. But actually that's not the problem because nowadays if you drive around, there's a lot of spots. People are just not using the level 2 chargers. But fast charging is definitely a must. You've got to have faster.
Yes.
And right off the bat, I told my guys, the company to watch, I shouldn't be plugging them. But but the companies with fast chargers, they'll make it because that complements the home charging. So that's how we got to this. Starting from a cup of coffee and then personalizing it, and that's usually how ideas come about. It's your personal experience, right?
Absolutely. It shapes it. It gives you the drive. You're an engineer, first sale at 12, took a note on that. And you saw, hey, if I can't figure out what to do with my phone with all these people hanging out with their laptops at the coffee shop, how's anyone supposed to figure this out with their cars? And having gone through the process myself, here in Marina Del Rey, I happen to know it's an issue to get charging machines put in. You're in the waterside apartments
Yeah.
here, some of the condos by the beach. The apartments, now they have the public communal chargers, and then people are waiting for those all night, send alarms that, wait till their neighbor's off. The buildings themselves, you have to go to the HOA. And I know there's laws that allow for it, but it could still take a year to get everything situated. And then you hear about plugging into, a normal 110 and 2 miles, an hour, the charging's occurring. Like you said, it's all about that speed and that people don't want to charge in public. And then the places you need to charge in public, I go on ski trips, snowboard trips up to Mammoth. There's huge lines at the stations. And people waiting, you almost want to, bring something with you, or figure out some solution. But that seems to be the biggest topic of discussion when electric vehicles is brought up is infrastructure. Are the dealers ready for this? Can they have a whole fleet of vehicles charging? Can homeowners install this, easily? What if you're in a major city and you're in a condo, nice place, penthouse? Are you going to be able to do this? That is the big question mark that I think everyone has before jumping from gasoline to electric.
Yes, it's the home charging first, because the statistics that the competition has misread is this thing that is bandied about, that 80% of the charging is at home, and for some reason the competition read that to mean we better put more public chargers out there because there's not enough to go around. when I first read that, I said to myself, maybe that's saying that the people who are buying it are the ones that have houses.
Mhm.
Uh, and true enough, the statistics are starting to show now the bulk of people who buy EVs are
Mhm.
people with driveways or garages. And so that leads to the question, maybe it's the home charging convenience. So it's a convenience aspect that's more important,
Mhm.
right? And what does that mean? The convenience of not having to think about when I need to charge, right? Because when we drive gasoline cars, we don't think about when I have to gas up,
Mhm.
and it just because we can almost count on getting to a station even when we're empty, right? Because it's designed to get you another 15 miles or so, and within 15 miles, there's bound to be a gas station, unless of course you're in the highway. But that I'm talking in general terms that people don't think about the issue of gasoline or pumping gas when you have a gasoline car. But for EVs, it starts to become a drag. It's no it the car becomes the focus of your life. you know, it's like, how do I take care of this baby? I got the plan on feeding this. Just like having a child. You got to when to feed it and change its diapers and all that. So that became very clear to me over time, and that's why when Power Hero, we approach this problem holistically and
Yes.
think about the EV driver. What are the situations that he's going to face? He's going to, when he has to charge, is he going to be, is he going to be near a charger? I mean, that's the concern. You see, you read a lot about this terminology, range anxiety, right? Uh, and they equate range anxiety with the tank, or your gas tank, or the size of your battery, as to how far you can drive. That's only one part of the equation. Because to me, range anxiety is not knowing where to charge. It's not how far I go. It's not knowing. I don't want to be caught someplace where there's no charger.
Correct.
So and so this is a part of the one of the solutions that we have come up with. How do you alleviate that concern about range anxiety? Well, if you think about it, when we drive, we're usually going somewhere that there's a community, right? It's just think about it. I mean, I get into a car. Where do I go? Of course, sometimes people we like to go down to the beach, or we, contemplate our navel you know, and meditate. But most of the time, we take our car, we go someplace that's a community, or we're meeting friends, or right. So that kind of stuck in me. That where people are is where you want to go, and that's where the charges have to be. Well, if you think about it, now it happens that the Department of Energy did a survey, and others did a survey that they found that actually it was J.D. Powers that did the survey. They found that 54% of the people that bought EVs installed a level 2 chargers at home.
Mhm.
Wow, 54%. That's 3 million EVs right now. That's 1.5
3
million
million.
charging stations.
Yeah.
1.5 million charging stations across America is a big comfort. Yeah, that means the fact that they're at home, it means that they're in neighborhoods that you're bound to be in.
Mhm.
The analogy I was trying to say that is you go to places where there are people. So where there's people, there's a charger. So it's like a self-fulfilling kind of a solution, and that's why the birth of the Cameo that we've patented is a plug-in. It's an adapter. You plug in this adapter just onto the nozzle of an existing home charger, which home chargers are not networked. Okay, I mean there's no need to. You go home, you plug it, and you don't need you don't need to know how it's doing during the day.
Yeah.
Well, so just imagine if we got people this 1.5 million base to just get our Cameo adapter, and they don't even have to pay for it. Let's get the Cameo adapter, and now make it available as an Airbnb. So you now an Airbnb host, and and people, I get immediate pushback on this idea of Airbnb. They say, well, nobody wants to let people in the garage. Hello, there's 6 million homes now being listed on Airbnb. Uh, if those hosts are willing to let people into their bedrooms,
Yeah.
I think they're willing to let people into the garage.
Especially if you have an electric vehicle and you're looking for an Airbnb and it's promoted to you that there's EV charging, especially accelerated, with nozzle.
Right.
So let's talk about the product a bit more. What does it allow for? If someone's listening in right now and they're saying, "Hey, I drive a Tesla, I drive a Lucid, I drive a Rivian, Genesis, what have you?" Maybe it's one of the Mercedes, BMW electric models, which don't have as long range as some of these other vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
What's available for them? What do they need to know about the product?
Well, they all can get, or some are given cords that plugs into the 110 volt. That's a slow overnight charging. I think almost every model comes with that. But then they also make available adapters so that even a Tesla has a kit with 4 or 5 different connected plugs that they can plug into level 2. So even though Tesla has their own NAS standard, North American standard, they can still use any of the charging stations out in America beyond just the Tesla charging stations. And now, vice versa, as you know, even Ford and all these other cars have licensed the use of Tesla supercharger network. So I don't think that's an issue as to what brand you have. So you no longer have to worry about what brand of EV you get. There's whatever public station there is, you pretty much can use it no matter what kind of car you drive. The issue to me is still, no matter what car you drive, whatever EV you drive, do you have charging at home? I think that's fundamentally where you start, because if you don't have charging at home, then it becomes a drag. Life becomes a drag, because that is one of your biggest. 90% of the people, maybe 80% of people commute, use their cars to commute. Okay, so the big drive is maybe in the weekend or something. That's when you have to start, making sure your tank is full if you're driving an EV. Your battery's full. But in general, all people care is, I want to charge up, make sure I get to work, and make sure I get back. So that's called topping up, right? So if you're topping up, you don't need a 240 volt charger. But the thing about our power pack is that our product is that we adapt to we enable building owners without the infrastructure for fast charging to use the existing infrastructure and provide fast charging. Yeah. That's the beauty of it, right? Because we basically have a big power bank there that charges during the day when everybody's out. The building is not being used, so the electric circuits are available. So all the little power packs are just charging up during the day when nobody's at home. Then when you come home, all you need is basically to top up that 30, 40 miles. And we've already packed these power packs during the day with 40 miles. So everybody's happy. They get the benefit of fast charging, because you plug it in 2 hours, you get 40 miles, right? So you could literally go home first, have your dinner, and before you head out to go to the movies or whatever you want.
So alleviating that issue, that anxiety, as you mentioned. Where am I going to charge? Am I going to run out? If I'm driving an hour and a half away to a meeting tomorrow, is it going to be an issue on the way back because I didn't top off yet? Yeah. Now I got to stop somewhere and park for 20 minutes to get, and top off 40 minutes if the spot's available. Yeah. What's the opportunity long-term here? They say 2035 electric vehicle mandate. You're talking about 3 million chargers, 54% being, residential. What is the larger picture here for Power Hero? Well,
if I could get everybody to sign an NDA, I would tell you everything. But
of course, what you could share.
I'll share the things that we believe is is covered under our patents.
Of course.
For example, I said that we approach this problem holistically. So one of the issues is charging at home, the convenience of charging at home. Well, the other issue is being away and finding yourself in a neighborhood that and you just happen to need charging. So that's the Airbnb aspect of that, right? And there's a third leg of that, which is our mobile charging, and that's also a patented technology come product. And that is our equivalent of the AAA service, right? So that is when you really least expect it, you're out of charge, right? And so who do you call? Not the Ghostbusters. You call Power Hero, right? So and we'll send out a mobile station to you. So that's addressing the whole need of that individual. So he doesn't have to worry. So now driving becomes, without having a conscious thought of the vehicle that you're driving. You just drive. It becomes just a transportation, not the event itself. So what's big? So that if you look at our product line, we could be a huge company just addressing home charging for apartment buildings. There's 100 million Americans that live in apartment buildings. Well, there's 200 million cars right now, right? So if you say 30%, that's 60 million cars. Well, heck, if I just get 10 million cars, or meaning 10 million tenants, and our business model is looking at getting revenues, the revenue, lifetime revenue of each power pack. That's it. And I'm just going to toss a number here just for the math. Okay, don't anybody take that as my projection. But if you say $6,000, well, times 10 million, and that's you do the numbers. I can't get far after 6 digits, but so that's just one product. Now, if you look at what we're we've announced that we're going to be doing next month, we're going to be releasing the app for accessing our network, and the hardware we haven't done the hardware yet. We're still waiting for the big funding, which we're hoping Net Capital will get us there. But there's an app for you to access our hardware, and the functionality of the app is releasable itself as an app and we're going to be doing this for college students. And the app is to find sockets on campus and surrounding area. As a matter of fact, everywhere. The idea is everywhere, because if you think about it, when I say, hey, do you know where I can charge my phone? They say, well, sockets are everywhere. Yeah, but when you say, well, where's the socket? Well, have you tried there? Have you tried? So
yeah,
because you've been in that situation. I'm in a mall. Where do I find the socket? Well, Open Table is which is in a way with what we're doing with AirQ, which is the software. It's like an open table. We're looking for where is the not only, actually the part about Open Table has to do with getting the community involved, because the community is submitting reviews on restaurants, right? I ate here, this is great, or if the restaurant is not listed, you submit it to Open Table, then they'll get the restaurant part of that program and becomes listed. So our AirQ model is to incentivize the students. I don't want to review all our marketing thinking, but we want to get the students to search out for sockets that they find on campus that nobody knows, because some of these, I tell you, I know people that when they find a favorite restaurant, not everybody wants to share that, Mm-hmm. So sockets. So that's kind of the beginning of the app, and it will evolve to finding EV charging stations, because not EV charging, all EV charging stations are listed. because there could be one just happen to be this nice neighborhood or this uh, mom and pop store that they just happen to have a charger. It's not. They don't go out and say enlist it, but hey, I discovered it. They're willing to do this. So by doing that, we hope to really get the charging stations out there and get it become a community thing. It's like neighborhood. The neighborhood. I forget. There's a block neighborhood. Where you watch out for each other.
Neighborhood watch.
Yes, yeah. The community. It's also like Waze. You remember Waze?
Yeah.
Everybody communicate. Hey, don't come this way. There's a blockage. And all.
Sure.
So we kind of launching AirQ with that kind of functionality feature set to get the community involved. So
sure.
Because if I had a charger, I'd lend it to you. If you need it, I'll lend it to you.
And I appreciate that. But it's true.
Yeah.
And it's all about community. And I read some electric vehicle, recreational vehicles, and I've had to charge on college campuses before, and there's communities around it, and they'll tell you, hey, this bar, they're very cool about it. You can go in, grab lunch, charge before your ride back. And I've experienced it firsthand. Also, love the idea because as a marketer, I've read countless case studies of mobile apps that growth hacked within college communities because you have a high congregation of generally young individuals that a larger part of the country follows for new tech ideas, new updates in general. So dating apps, you could see some of these platforms that really grew because of popularity they had at these institutions. So to be able to get individuals sharing, giving each other those tips, saving one another if their phone's about to die. I mean, these devices, you read about addiction and anxiety without being with it. So, and that only extends and puts you in a much tougher spot to electric vehicles if you run out of. So I could see the utility it's playing. I know when you look on those maps inside an electric vehicle, there are not enough charging stations that present themselves. So it seems like the perfect place that you're focusing on and something that we're all looking for around. So Power Hero speaks to that.
Yes, I'm glad that you caught on to that because there's another thing of the community thought that we're kind of trying to tap into, and it's all about leveraging what's there. You see, you don't have to invent everything because sometimes it's a matter of just using something to the max. Instead of letting it sit idle. Well, I think it's well, this one I may not want to. I think we got that covered in the past. I don't remember now which patent covers what, but I believe this is covered by one of our patents. But imagine, the power pack is basically a power bank. It's that charges while you're away. Okay, but imagine this. What if every Uber driver has a power pack in their trunk?
Sure.
Where does that take you? So all of a sudden, my mobile station concept, it's there, right? So an Uber driver now has another way of making money. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to give rides; he gives charges. Mm. Right? So you're asking me how big can Power Hero go? Well, that's just another venue. That's what I'm saying. See, and that's the beauty of building a foundation, a pattern a foundational pattern that can support divergence of an opportunity. So you build a power pack for the home, but that has an application over here, right?
And I think this is just going to become more and more of an issue in the years to come. Again, I've familiar with your pitch deck, your offering page on Net Capital. We should talk about that a little bit, but to hear how big of a problem this is going to be, not just where it is today, but again, for dealers, for offices, and trying to let employees charge while they're at work for any type of point of interest with a large parking lot, and what it means if they have power charging there, what it means, some of your products if you run out or getting close to running out and there's not a location nearby. So I believe this is going to become more and more important, and your vertical is going to be primed for that.
Yeah.
What about the capital raise? What about your net capital campaigns? One of the strongest campaigns on net capital last year. What have investors been saying? Why have they been responding? You get to speak with them directly. What stands out to investors about Power Hero and the investment opportunity?
I think we're, in a sense, we're impacted by the political situation. As you know, there's a divide, and I'm using some of these words here, but there's a divide between those who believe in the charging and those who don't believe in charging. And that, without taking sides, sometimes I think people take sides just for the fact of the sake of taking sides, right? But I think that certainly clouds the future. I think there's the one side is saying that we don't support EV charging, so we're going to keep pumping gas, and so that creates, I think, concerns in potential investors. But notwithstanding, I think we also have to get the message out, and I think we're doing better now in getting message out. I think we're in comparison to the last raise we had last year, we're ramping up faster, I believe, and we're certainly getting a lot of comments. We have about 400 plus investors from Net Capital, and we're going to be publishing some of the comments that we've received, and they're really good comments. They encouraging, very encouraging comments, and they see the future. But here's the deal, or as some politicians saying, is that here's the thing. So here's the thing. Our investors, why we decided to do crowdfunding is because it's like a test market for us. Well, if you invest, it means you believe in our product, right? So yes. So we were very pleased, even though we had we have not hit the numbers that we want to hit, but hey, 400 people invested. That means I've got 400 more people that says I'm not crazy. Right? So that's a big comfort to me. Yeah, that's a big comfort to me, and I think we just have to do a better job, more and more. And I think this helps. You having me on your podcast helps to get the message out. Because when you read our net capital, I mean, there's only so much we can say. That's not some of the stuff I've just disclosed here is it wasn't possible before until I got the recent 2 patents. Okay, so the 2 patents covers the things that we're going to be doing with AirQ, the outlet registration, all that. So sometimes we cannot say much, but in one-on-one, I've had one-on-one in discussion with investors. And when we also have a significant group of investors now that are playing big, I think some have gone as far as 30,000, so I think they're participating in a dialogue with us, and they understand. And I encourage people to just call in and talk to me, because I cannot disclose a lot of things publicly, but certainly there's always an opportunity to dig deeper one-on-one, and I'm open. 15 minutes is all you need to really get. I think you got that. I mean, you just a little bit that I just disclosed. I think you can see. Wow, that could be a big market unto itself, right? I mean, Uber is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, right? And just think about that worldwide. I mean, we're talking only about the U.S., but that's worldwide. We're talking about licensing the technology. Well, right then and there, we're hoping to license in a couple of countries that we're in discussion, and because it's not like charging EVs. Everybody needs it now. It's not like okay, you wait your turn. No, we all need it now because if it's like airplanes in the old days, when you were flying. I remember that there's so funny incident. I think I was flying in China, and I got myself a non-smoking seat, right, on an airline, and I get on board. The guy next to me is smoking. I said, "Hey, what's the deal?" And they said, "Well, that's a smoking seat." So the guy to me had a smoking seat, and I had a non-smoking seat. Well, duh, it still affects me.
Yeah.
So climate change affects everybody. It's not, so we can't say, okay, Africa, you can wait your turn, and we either do it all together or not at all, right?
I agree. And it's unfortunate that it's a political topic today. It's polarizing even to say, climate change. I love how you talked about electric vehicles not really being in that category of conversations and something that benefits everyone. It's where the automotive manufacturers are focused, not just tier one, but down the dealership tier 3 level across the board. So it should be a productive conversation for everyone. And I like how you've been able to build relationships, pivot the product, pivot the brands so that you have more of an integration into the industries that you're participating in here.
Yeah, and we're talking to car dealers, and they love the idea of being able to pitch Power Pack. So somebody comes in and hey, they live in an apartment building. Hey, get a Power Pack. It's just another $120 a month.
Yep.
It's just another upgrade. A package. And they do this all the time. And for us, the reason I approached the car dealers is because they've already got this down pat. This whole process. It's all hey, you want extra upgrade? You got one audio. This and I mean. By the time I get out of a car dealer, what did I buy a house? It's got all kinds of features. It's like you don't believe how many features you got, right?
One thing after another. They give you a price. Yeah. There's 10 more on top of it.
But for these EV dealers, unless you're selling Tesla, you don't have a network to include in the deal. Tesla's the only one that has a network.
Right.
So your best bet is to say, hey, you live in an apartment. Hey, great. Power Pack right here, your own personal home charging, the only home charging solutions for apartments, and that's us.
There you go.
So we help the car dealer, right? Mm-hmm. We help the apartment, and we also help the apartment building owner, because he doesn't. Now, if you think about apartment building, right? When an EV a tenant that comes in has an EV, and they say, "Hey, I want to get EV charging." Typically, they're thinking, "Oh, I got to bring in the utility has to come in and put a substation so that I can get 240-volt power." But that's only one guy. Well, whether it's one guy or 10 guys, it's still $100,000.
Yep.
Right? Well, in our case, with Power Pack, you don't spend your $100,000 until you absolutely need it. In the meantime, for the first 10 or first 20, Power Pack, just use the existing. So that defers it, And by the time they get ready to upgrade, guess what? We'll be introducing Power Pack 2.0, and that's our network version.
Yeah,
where we're networking all the Power Pack in the building. It's part of the patent, so that's why I can talk about it. It's already built into the patent.
And I feel like I could ask you more questions on that and get the audience excited. But want to talk a little bit about your journey with Power Hero and some actionable insights that listeners can adapt to their own model, whether it's a founder, a marketer, anyone working in capital raising whatsoever. What would you recommend that they test out towards their own growth? Could be towards their marketing, could be towards their fundraising. But I look at, growth as a series of tests, want to get an optimization and scale from there. But what recommendations do you have for the audience?
Oh, gee, that's tough because I'm still testing.
We all are.
Yeah. And, there's things that we do that sounds awfully crazy, but we Juan may want to chime in on this, but we try to come up with topics that that we kind of try and track as to what is the reaction, and just the fact that if people click just because of a topic, I think that tells a lot. So we're always testing. For if you're asking me for advice as for issuers, that
Companies issuing shares.
yeah, I think I've learned the hard way now that you got to be. I think the old saying is you got to drop a dime to pick up a dollar, right? and
Yes.
that's so you if you're going to go into this, you need to spend money to get your message out, right? So be prepared, and you have to get a pile of dough to do it right. Because if you're not ready to spend and broadcast and get your message out, crowdfunding isn't for you. Because the bottom line is, you get to the crowd. You got to get to the crowd. The crowd ain't coming to you just because you built a company. So you got to get the message out. That's the
Absolutely.
biggest point that I've learned, and
Couldn't
I
agree
think
with you more there. Yeah.
okay.
I couldn't agree with you more. I see so many issuers file and never take their campaign live on a FINRA regulated portal or using a broker dealer partner. Then once they're up and live, they think, hey, now I'm able to bring in, 1.235 million or 5 million or whatever the amount is. And like you said, without investing into, I don't want to just say marketing, but tactics, strategies to be able to get investors to your offering page, it may just be stagnant. You've been a very proactive founder, a CEO that's taken Reg CF regulation crowdfunding seriously and has put a great deal of effort to manage your campaign and manage it to a point of effectiveness. I find 50% of issuers on Reg CF don't raise over 100K. 90% will never raise more than 750. So your proactiveness, your commitment, your dedication, what you've been able to talk about on your portal updates, in your advertisements, on your content, resonates with audiences. You're seeing the response. Like you said, over 400 investors. How many companies can say they've brought in over 400 investors? What has been the key towards your mindset for optimization? Because as you said, had to learn the hard way, didn't just happen overnight. And scale, being able to get to those higher levels. What have been, the pivotal, instrumental factors towards optimizing and scaling your campaigns to get to the point that they're at today?
Well, that's I think it's being honest with your audience, and I share good news and bad news. If we run into a hitch, we have a delay. I do tell people, and I like to keep people informed, and that's the thing that we do about updates.
Yes.
I like to tell people why we are releasing AirQ, and we do quite a few webinars ourselves in addition to having sponsored webinars by Net Capital. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important that you just keep the dialogue going, and it's not just getting your name brand out there, but you also have to maintain dialogue because people take time to make up the decision, to make up their mind to invest. And just like anything else, they have to get comfortable with you. And the only way they can get comfortable is that, they hear you a few times and realize that, hey, you've been saying the same thing all the time. And so it's not like I'm making it up, and so they get comfortable. And at the end of the day, we also have to deliver. And if you look at where Power Hero was when we started our first campaign, back in 2013 campaign, I think. No, 2013, like 2023 campaign. I think we started that with we only had like 3 or 4 patents, and now we have 11. So that's a big jump, getting from there, and that's a big achievement. And we did some promotion also around certain events that got audience involvement. Like for we had webinars where we had a lucky draw for attendees, things like that. And you got to get people interested, not not just from the standpoint of a potential return, but I think again, this is me saying it from what Ron and I are saying, is that you have to be an interesting company, and and that's what we try to do. Is we try to um, get people engaged with something that is of interest. So you know I'm going to be doing an update later on today, and I think it might generate some interest, and I think you know about that. But we'll see what happens at that. But get people engaged, get them thinking, get them thinking not just about your deal, but try to kind of connect the dots between what you are and where how it impacts them. I think
Yes.
that's how I look at it. We'll see whether that gets a lot of money, but that's I think has worked in the past. That connection, and I have gained quite a good group of solid investors that just they keep investing, and it really gives me a warm feeling that it's a sign of trust. and
Yes.
and I tell you, that is so valuable, to have people trust you, and I really appreciate that. And I want to take this opportunity in this podcast, if they're listening, you investors, but I love doing things that benefit the investors, not just in terms of being able to make money, but in terms of their lifestyle, So I've never done deals that has no value added in terms of people's life. And that goes from everything from the baby food company that helped turn around, But so it got to have social benefits.
Yes.
And we try to do that. We try to do that with what we do in the company, but and above and beyond. We love to get to the point, like this business of the Cameo. Getting everybody involved across the board, because if the community is, I remember this. There used to be a saying, it takes a village. Well,
Yeah.
it takes a community. Really, it's not just being Americans, but if we got to do it all together, regardless of the politics of, uh, you have to fundamentally, believe and tie it back to yourself. How does this affect me? Forget all the in the noise. Hey, it's EV good for me? Not just the noise, what people are telling you, but is EV good for me? Is it EV good for my children? You know, and I think that will help us get the message out.
There you go. Forming direct connections with your prospects, with your prospective investors, being able to communicate them with honesty, being interesting, talking about updates, and really speaking to how it's going to affect them as an individual. I believe that's what drives a great deal of decisions. It's motivating. Hey, I don't want to run out of electricity in my vehicle
Yeah,
in the middle of
yeah,
nowhere. I don't want to be waiting. I don't want to be, going to sleep, curious, have enough battery to make it there and back. You guys are speaking to that on the Net Capital campaign. You're talking to the investment opportunity. Hey, if it's good for you and you believe it, imagine what it can do for the 200 million other vehicles. And, like you said,
yeah,
30%, even a percent of that, what that means and how it grows over time. And
yeah,
you can be part of our community of investors. And
yeah.
I think that's what stands out. That's what's been resonating. That's what you've been hearing back directly from those 400 plus investors. So I really appreciate you taking the
Well,
time.
Jason, if I just because you kind
Open
of
up on that. Yeah.
you just tweak my memory, but
No, please add to it.
one of the things that I don't think we talk enough about it, but you know, Power Hero also has plays a part in national security. No, that may sound unbelievable, but just think about it. If all if all of us are driving EVs, all right, well, part of the patent that we have filed allows you to tap that energy in the EV for your home, right? So you know that the bad actors are trying to go after our grid, right?
Yeah.
Well, they can get the grid. They can get the grid, but we still got power in that car.
Yes.
All right. So this country ain't going down just because someone turned off the lights. Because we've got a technology that's going to tap into the EVs, into the power pack. So the power pack for apartment buildings is not just for your cars. It could become a lifesaver of a battery storage. Oh.
And hopefully we don't have to use that feature.
Hopefully.
But I thought about it myself and felt like a conspiracy theorist doing it, but thought about all the possibilities where power may not be available and for prolonged periods of time. So I think that's, a perfect aspect to bring up and add to it here as well. And what a motivator, safety can be. So Esmond, I feel like I could talk to you all day. I already have a page in notes here, and
go ahead.
Appreciate you educating the audience here. If they'd like to learn more, where's the best place for them to go? And what are some final thoughts you want to leave them with here today?
Well, I think that a good place to start is always our website. And it's a very simple thing to remember, powerhero.com, and that's just the way it sounds, POWERHERO.com. Some people even ask me about where the name came from, Power Hero, and if I may just close with that, I believe that, and this is kind of the idea behind a Cameo. We want the Cameo to make heroes out of every EV driver. So if you have a charger at home, be a hero and let others use your charger. Those who don't have the benefit of having a driveway to park their car, let your neighbors use it. Be a hero. So be a power hero.
Love it. Love it. What a great thing to end with. As Esmond, as you're saying here, be a hero. Go to powerhero.com, follow everything that Esmond's doing. Highly recommend that you get over there. And like he said, give him a call. So Esmond, thank you again for taking the time up on the podcast here. It's been a pleasure, and really glad we had the chance to do this.
No, thank you, Jason.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time. Take care.